What's up, everybody? Today we look at some retro things that we have actually gone through, some things in which we have watched, some things in which we have partaken in over the past couple of years. I won't see how many years. I probably at the end of this year, you probably understand what I'm saying and probably try to actually date my age, right? All right, cool. Okay, so do you remember different strokes? Good Times, Jeffersons, Jetsons, Gilligan's Islands, Cheers, 90210, 24, the terrorist type of series, right? NCIS, and you have whole different type of NCIS, New York, Los Angeles, all that, right? The Office, Sister, uh, the Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? We're going retro, we're mixing up, and some persons might say, hey, this is the 90s. Some of them is the 80s, some of them is the 90s, and some of them is the early 2000s, right? When I say is forget the language, the is the R, the first person, second person. I'm just talking out here, right? Okay, so we're talking about these type of comedies, series, the things that we used to enjoy back in the days before, you enjoy what you enjoy now. I'm so bogged down with the device in my face that I ended up have to be using glasses these days because it is practically affecting my eyes, right? Cool, but before then it was like the big back TV, and I say big back, I mean it wasn't no flat screen smart TV or half circle, what I call it, the Samsung, with the curve, right? It was just a big back TV, and back in where I used to live, it usually be a black and white. I usually put colored plastic bag over the television so as to let the television, we call it TV, and TV look as if it's colored. So sometimes we might put a blue plastic bag, we have blue TV, right? Red, we have red TV, right? And so the like, right? And the TV giving problem with us, give it one smack at the side, it screen will flicker a little bit, and then it just starts so good again, right? Yeah, I remember those days. I remember those days. Let's reflect a little bit more on those days. Let's reflect on the clothing, right? Do you remember probably some of you might not, right? Because some of you are like Gen Z, right? Back in the days we usually wear like baggy pants, acid wash jeans, right? And Miami Vice shirt. And those days, the Miami Vice shirt got the name of the series Miami Vice because there was this series by the name of Miami Vice, and I think during that time there were also a series by the name of Jag, right? Both Miami Vice was a detective show, and Jag was like a group of guys. They're going on a mission, like an army, a group, well gelled together, right? It kind of reflect in a way Fast and the Furious team, where you have persons with different personalities and all that. Hey, remember when you like we're going on a date? I don't know if you guys still do it, but just in like this right now, persons would say probably you're old fashioned, right? Where you have on all right, so I usually go church camping, and the night before we leave to come home, to return home, we usually have this thing they call banquet, and my mom always put a tuxedo, that thing with a little frill thing at the front and the bow tie, yeah, in my suitcase. And your thing now is to practically ask a girl out that night, right? And the guys who don't get a girl, that they are laughed at by their friends, right? But it was really fun. You meet a lot of persons from all over the island, island Jamaica, and it was really fun, right? Yeah. Remember the three sister dress, right? Three sister dress, those dress, and you have three sister, four sister, is that type of dress that persons would wear Sunday morning or Saturday morning to church. I'd have like several different sections going down to the foot, like, and it looks really cool, and each section have a frill going around it, right? I remember during my days at school they weren't that strict on they weren't that strict on the type of shoes you wear once it is of a particular color. Right now they are a little bit strict, right? The shoes must be polished and no suede and all that. Yeah, that's Jamaica for you guys. All right, so they usually wear the popular guys usually wear popular shoes, and that's before Nike was blown up, because you all know that is number 23 actually put Nike, well, to me, put Nike up on that bar, right? And in which persons really wants to purchase Nike because they want to be like Mike, right? So I remember we usually go to school and we usually wear loafers, right? Anybody remember loafers? Right, loafers, right? And we have shoes by the name of Travel Fox, right? You also have Nike, but as I said before, it wasn't really that popular. And Travel Fox and Ewing, because Patrick Ewing have his roots in Jamaica. So persons in Jamaica like tend to swing to the Patrick Ewing brand rather than the Nike that was like just kind of breaking out of its shell to become popular, right? Back in the days, it was awesome. It was awesome, and anybody who stepped into school in a Ewing, a Travel Fox, even a Clark's, they were like revered, like, yo, that guy is dope, that guy is rich, that guy is the bomb, yo. And talking to a girl, you can just put out your foot and the girl will say, yeah, this guy got dope. So she will like gravitate to, yeah, those are the days, right? Right, cool. Before there were even aquariums, right? Talking about aquariums that like what we keep now. Um, I remember we usually keep aquariums in buckets. There was this guy, he usually come early at school and him always sell fish. I don't know where him get them from, but them always sell fish, and these fish was like for $5, $10, $20, depending on the size. And you'd buy the fish with your lunch money. You carry on the fish probably will last probably a couple of days in the bucket. No, the bucket only have probably a piece of vegetation, or you call it plant, right? And that's it, right? And you sit there and you watch the fish until probably about give it a week or two, the fish just die, right? Sometimes you even break off a piece of your mother bread, and you actually you know throw the bread into the bucket or the tub or the hole in the ground that you dig. And for those persons who are not sure how to dig the hole, they normally dig the hole, water is in the hole, then they put the fish in it, and then when they go in and come back out, the water have disappeared and the fish is dead, right? Those were the days. um Hey, in Jamaica, Jamaica is a very funny place. So you have this thing they call Google Maps and TomTom or whatever you call it, where you punch in your direction as to where you're going, right? You punch in the direction as to where you're going, and it kind of like it give you a roadmap as to where you're going. And even if you turn off, it kind of try to find a alternative route for you to actually go back on track. Right? Okay. In Jamaica, you're traveling in the rural parts, the country them call it, right? And you ask somebody, you don't have the TomTom, you don't have the maps. I ask somebody for direction. They say even when it is 100 kilometers down the stretch, they will say it's just around the corner, man. And just around the corner, bend the road to the left, then to the right, then go straight for the Elsevier Bridge, just go over it and turn right, and they say you find it. And you drive until now, until now in the morning, and you never find that place, right? But those meet and greet, the whole idea of asking persons for direction, it kind of give you an opportunity to meet the good, the bad, and the indifferent. The good, the bad, all different type of persons, right? And you get to meet a lot of people, and sometimes you even get free stuff, like probably you might stop at them yard gate and see some apples on them tree, and them say, ah, here's some apples, I see some banana, some orange or whatever, and it's free, guys. I mean, FREE, free, right? Unlike now, if you ask direction, chances are they might probably say, boy, yeah, man, I tell you still doing, but boy, I'm thirsty still. Everything is just all for money. Hey, before they were YouTube, and you had these persons, they're making millions of dollars off YouTube. There were other websites. A matter of fact, I had a website. I had a website, and honestly, I don't remember what name right now. right? In which you usually like you type in the name of the. It's no longer in existence. I took it down after about 6 months. Uh I think I think you type in the name of the reggae dancehall artist and you find the music and it actually plays. But my provider says that it was actually taking up too much of the bandwidth because it was just starting like in the mid 90s. So it never worked out. So I just leave that alone. I spent a lot of money though, right? Okay. Before YouTube, before YouTube, I usually for my entertainment. Now I use YouTube, right? I watch movies. It's a summer break. I'm trying to save for my son to go to college. So trying to cut back on the expenses. So before YouTube, I usually watch movies on Napster and LimeWire. No, the funny thing about Napster and LimeWire is that you'll be watching a movie, right? And then you see somebody walking across the screen with probably a burger or a juice, um, you know, and they realize that it was it's a movie that was taped within a movie. That means it's illegally recorded thingy, right? But it was really fun, and I remember before the first time I went to university, I usually actually downloaded music and actually sell to persons wishing to get particular movie, but they just never know where to get it. So that was like one of my funding exercise for going back to school. It was really exciting to me. It was interesting to me. I liked it. And LimeWire, I used it to get a lot of tracks, a lot of because back in the days I usually listen to a lot of Tupac and usually listen to Biggie Small. Those were like my artists, right? In which I usually listen to, and some Bob Marley. So I usually download those and I usually listen to them, right? And they had some legal mumble jumble with Napster and LimeWire, and they automatically got shut down, right? And then came YouTube, right? And other websites, which actually gave entertainment and yeah, life changes, right? Life changes. You just have to add pepper and salt so as to get your flavor, right? But it's really cool, right? I remember before phone services were actually available where I'm at. I'm at fact. I usually live in the inner city, in the ghetto, right? And where I'm at, where I was, there was no telephone, and I had to like probably take a transportation to about probably a 1 or 2 kilometers just to get a phone call. Right, so like when you go to the camp and you get the girl number, and you want to call the girl because the girl probably might have a phone but you don't have none, so you kind of lose off, right? You'd have to walk or take bus to a particular place to make a call and all that, and give some excuse like she make your heart go boom titty boom, so you want she make you get heart attack, so that's why it takes a long for call or some foolishness like that. But those were the days. I remember my first cell phone. My first cell phone was an Ericsson. I don't remember the type, but I know that it was the back of it was like just the battery alone was thick like the shaver that you use and shave the hair on your head, right? That's how thick it was, right? And back in those days, the cell phone provider usually charge you for when you get the calls, them charge you, and when you make the calls, they charge you. So therefore, you get double charge, right? Things kind of change. Oh, and when you're making calls like overseas, Sprint was my friend, right? Because usually call and persons overseas would answer. Sometimes they choose not to answer because the Sprint would say this is a direct something call from X that will you accept? If you're not going to accept, you hang up. If you accept, you just press 1 or something like that. Those were the days, guys. I remember all of this is just so cool, just reflecting on life, where I'm going with all of this, just to say that YouTube is here. YouTube have been here for a while, and as far as things go, and we do plan, it is suggestive that YouTube will be here for a while. However, nothing lasts but good old salvation, and we talk about that in another podcast, right? So right now you just have to make your mark and make people remember you, and reflective on as to what you do to help people. Because if different strokes, cheers, good times, NCIS 9021024, NCIS the office, Sister Cosby Show, Gilligan's Island, if all and the Jeffersons and the Jetsons, if all these series never had an impact on my life, I would remember the name. Right? But I always remember something about them that always make me laugh and smile and say, wow. Right? Same to you going forward in life. See if you can make somebody say, wow, and appreciate what you do. Pick up yourself. Really from fish keeping Jamaica. Yeah. Blog number. What is 7? Cool out.